Well, good Saturday evening or Sunday morning again. Another week's gone by, hasn't it? This is Dr. Charles E. Clough, and I am coming to you from the Church of Truth, Center for Awakening Consciousness. I love the last part of that title, Center for Awakening Consciousness, because we're always wanting to open up to more. We're wanting to see more. We're wanting the presence of God within us to give us different pictures of what's going on that allow us to do better getting into life, that make our lives better, that makes our lives better. Having our lives really good at this time is a real challenge. Just reading in a couple of the magazines I have, depression is really increasing, and the mental health field is really being challenged right now. The normal needs we have to be touched, to relate to each other, to communicate, to get out, actually out of the home so you don't stay in and feel so confined. Those things that are going on, what's going on right now, is just not normal. It's not what it ought to be. It's not how we should be living. But this virus has created this whole thing. And we've seen it now get into the White House this last week. It was going to, of course, because when they're out around each other without masks, it's just going to happen. So in a sense, you might say that the White House or the president is reaping what they've sown. In a way, that's kind of what karma is. Karma is the consequences of our behavior, and it produces in kind, so that if we're loving, gracious, kind, and good, then the results of that in our behavior and in those around us and to those around us will be good. If how we are is being negative, then the consequences and the results will be negative. And there's so much negative going on. You know, it's always said that something takes on the characteristics of its leader. And we know that a lot of what's going on is like the personality of our president. That's why we're praying and asking for God to be so active in this election. And it's here. Thankfully, we'll be learning things now that I hope will change the way we do things in the government, in our personal lives, in all of these different ways where probably things are never going to be the way they were before. And we trust God that that means they're going to be better. That there's going to be more consideration for everyone, maybe more fairness, more looking at what goes on in all the different levels, not just one. Anyway, we're looking for positive changes. It's a puzzlement that we aren't doing better than we are. It is to me anyway. The concept of evolution, in my thinking, is that you learn from where you are and you learn from the past, and things should be getting better. I think that would be the purpose of evolution, that we keep evolving into that which is better. And we know that we believe that the presence of God is in the middle of everything, but yet we don't see this getting better very often. It seems like the generations keep having to learn the same lessons over and over again. There may be different people, there may be different technology, there may be different settings, but that which relates to how people are inside, the kind of persons they are, how we move beyond how we are to be more loving and kind and gracious and helpful and all this, that it seems like every generation has to learn that that's the best way to be. Well, maybe that's what this school is all about, this Earth School. Maybe the purpose of our world is just to take people through some rough times, to learn some tough lessons, so that when we go on, we won't disrupt the next place we go, because we'll have learned a lot of things here that will apply in a good way in another location. It takes us some experiences to learn things. When I was in college, there was someone who came through and he was talking about a way that you can get a car without having to make any payments if you fit into this program that works for you. And the way it was is you got a new car, and when you got a new car, it helped make the payment to the person that got you to get a new car. And when you got a person to get a new car, then that person made one of your payments. So that as long as you got different individuals to get a free car like yours, who in the same way believed that when they got someone else who would get one of these new cars, their payments were made too, you'd wind up with a new car, and overall it wouldn't have cost you anything. Can you believe that I bought into that at that time, and I got a new car? It didn't take very long at all for me to realize that not everybody was going to get caught into that kind of a scheme. We call them Ponzi schemes now. So all of a sudden I realized I was in a lot of trouble, until I got a call from the courts, and they came and picked up the car and told me that we were involved in something that's illegal. And I wound up in court in Los Angeles testifying about my whole experience with this. But you know, one thing is, we wound up getting our car back after they had cleaned it all up and had it on a lot to sell. And we went and picked it up, and it was a nice gift. We wouldn't have been able to fix the car up like that. But did I learn from that? You bet I did. And we haven't got into anything like that again. But we need to learn from these things we go through. We need to learn from these experiences. That's called wisdom. We need to pray for wisdom and insight, because that's learning from the things that are out there for us to see. So that we don't keep hitting our heads on the same cabinet or stubbing our toes on the same chair, causing the same kind of friction from the same kinds of things we say when we know it causes that with someone. Getting into arguments when we know the argument's not going to go anywhere, knowing that political discussions create a great deal of friction, as well as some of the religious ones. We're at a time when the world needs to learn a lot, and we do too. The presence of God within us yearns for us to see the things the Spirit is trying to show us that will make our lives easier and make our lives better. Not creating problems with people around us that don't need to be created. Not getting upset about things we don't need to be upset about. Relaxing with things that we normally get uptight about, because it doesn't make any difference to get uptight about it. One of the things about getting older is that you look back and see all the things you worried about that didn't happen. You know, they say 90% of what we worry about never happens. And that which does happen, we work right through. And you know how we know that? Because we're here and we're where we are. So whatever it was we've been through, we got through, and it brought us to where we are here and to be the persons we are now. Everything that's happened before has brought us to now. And you know what? That's not too bad. It's where the Spirit has us, and we want to keep learning the lessons that we are to learn and being the persons that God wants us to be that can make this world a better place. That's the only way I think that we can feed good into the world the way it is right now. Is that everything we do, we can feed good into. We can feed love into. We can feed kindness into. And you know what? That's what we're doing. The bruises we have because of the things we do can stop being so serious when we stop doing some of the things we do. And we are stopping that. We're at a neat time in our church, and we're praying for wisdom to help us to do the right things, the things that bring peace, the things that bring joy, the things that take us into ministries that help people, that profit people, that help life be better for the individuals around us and in the community. Will you pray with us for that vision we have? Because we're in the middle of that vision, and it's going to happen. God is innocent with us to create the kind of world God has in mind. And we're participants. We're glad we are. And we're volunteers. And we thank God. And so it is.